Namaste people. Can you see me now? Hi Mona Lisa, good to see you. Finally we've connected. So today I'd like to welcome you all on this program called Reading Maze. Yeah, I'm so glad we are able to connect now. Sorry for this delay because my account was on the private mode and I was not aware because this is the first time I'm going live. So I changed the settings and now I think we are connected. So it's good to see you here and welcome to this program which is called the Reading Maze. This is a program which connects the writers with the readers, and I am going to discuss about this book called Macabre Tales, which has been published by Chrysanthemum Chronicle. This is one of the first books which has been published by Chrysanthemum Chronicle, which is a new and a contemporary publishing house. And this book was supposed to be a dystopian novel the concept was brought by Mona Lisa Joshi, but anyways it turned out to be an anthology of uncanny tales, and it has beautiful stories, though uncanny, but yes, they are beautiful and uncanny. And I must say that there are many tales which will keep you pondering, reflective tales. Some tales are like that will make you smile, and many tales have a undercurrent of some or the other kind of knowledge. You get to think that it's beyond an uncanny tale. They are kind of giving you some or the other kind of message. So this book has been published by Chrysanthemum Chronicles, and the editor is Nandita Dene Chatterjee, and she has done a beautiful job, an immaculate job. It's error free, typo free, and there has been no mistake of any kind, any small mistake of spelling mistakes or apostrophes or anything. So this book has many accomplished writers from Dr. Santosh Bakaya to Harshali Singh, Antara Banerjee, Lopa Banerjee, Purva Chakravarti and Mona Lisa Joshi. We have also other writers that have penned up beautiful stories, and Mausumi Banerjee, Preeti Warrior, Rashmi Agarwal, Preeti S. Manaktala, and Dr. Paramita Mukherjee. The Macabre Tales are the tales that were supposed to be very gory and scary, but the authors have made a point that they have not used hyperboles, and they are very subtle stories. Without any kind of exaggeration, the authors have taken you to a world that raises the chill and make you feel scared that this can also happen. The characters are who have been living and who have the characters are the ones you can see and relate with. They are not coming out of the world characters. They are very much relatable, and you will find that some of them are like living next door neighbors type of characters. I will begin with stories. I will tell you about each and every story which is in this book, and I'll begin with Dr. Santosh Bakaya and The Fireplace Road On. This story is placed in a New Year party which is in Delhi, and the way Dr. Bakaya has written, though it's a horror story, it will bring a smile on your face. And there are chills, but her narrative is so beautiful that you will not escape from smiling. I'll just read a paragraph from her story. It's set up in a New Year party, and it begins with the people who are coming inside the party venue, and they're talking to each other, and they're talking about the cold in Delhi now, as we know that we are moving towards the winter season. She sets up an atmosphere where we can feel the Delhi chills, very clearly. Like it begins with that over 300 flights were delayed on 20th December and many were diverted. I had to go to Pune but was not informed about the cancellation of the flight. I came to know about the cancellation only on reaching the airport. So people are discussing about the part in the party and they're talking very casually, and a lady comes up to her husband and says, "Your fifth drink. I'm keeping an eye on you." Suddenly his wife appeared from his side of the furthest corner of the huge room, rebuking him into a tone of timid aggression. "Honestly, this is my third. You can ask Ajit here." Without listening to what Ajit had to say, she floated away towards the group of women, talking and gesturing elaborately, the mammoth ring on her fingers, brightening the already brightly lit room. A small passage will not justify Dr. Bakaya's story because you have to read the whole story to get the gist and the humor which is inbuilt in her story. Now I'll come down to The Patient by Harshali Singh. This is another very intelligent plot which has been written by Harshali Singh, and to be frank, my book has also been signed by Harshali Singh. So I'm one of the lucky ones to get this signed copy. The plot in The Patient, it goes like there are more of dialogues, and the beautiful part of this story is that it moves forward through dialogues. There are less descriptions but more of dialogues, and the dialogue is the thing which takes the story forward. So that requires a lot of intelligence to write in this way, where the dialogues are taking forward the story and there are less of narratives and descriptions about the atmosphere, and the dialogues are purely taking the story forward. So that is one of a unique kind of story that I read in this book. Last of the Bench by Antara Banerjee. Yes, this is another book, another story by Antara Banerjee, where we are transported into a atmosphere where there is a forest and how a girl is molested over there, and people in the forest, they take care of her. The team of girls only who have been shunned by the society, they take care, and it also brings out the chills, the way she has written that the society can be so gullible to make the people so bad, and how they come up as Braveheart and take care that this doesn't happen again. They stand up together to fight for the people who are trodden, and they pull each other up through this. Lasagna of Identity by Purva Chakravarti. This story is about deceits and lies. It's about imposters, talking about social media platforms where everywhere people are so social media is so open to anybody, and how an imposter can take over the actual person. So this is not a horror story in the other way, but yes, it does bring down the chill when we get to know that how an imposter comes into the life and she takes over gradually about the her office and everything, and makes it impossible for her to step out. So this is another very unique and different take by Purva Chakrabarti, and she has penned it very well. It is fast paced, and the language is subtle, easy to understand, and it's one of a beautiful story that goes in the uncanny tales. Yes, Gauri, I can say yes. Dr. Bakaya's story is really humorous. That's what I was written in my interview also, in my review also, that she is one who will, even in a horror story, she will make you smile. Her writing style is such. Yes. And Kurchi, The Wild Flower Tale. This is another very beautiful story written by Rupa Mudra Banerjee, and this story is almost mystical. It's like it takes you to another era, another realm. The words which she has used, the way she has described the character is beautiful. This story is about the earnings of a female who was very much in love with someone and she gets married with somebody else, and it is more of her longings and her emotions. Author has done a very beautiful job in this story. I will just read a line from here. Each year on the full moon night, just after the onset of spring, Kurchi would step out of her cottage, wayward, gathering her tattered self. She would cross the boundaries of the mountain village, walking along the trails close to the Red River, the airy, infamous trail and the legends of the river which scared the living daylights out of able-bodied brave men. This story has beautiful features about the mountains and the rivers and how she has brought about the feminism of Kurchi, who is married with someone else but has longing for her ex, her boyfriend, we can call, and the way author has brought it out is amazing. I'll also read one more paragraph from here. In the wind drift that caressed the folds and pleats of the river, she could hear the maddening song of Shibu. Shibu was the person she loved, sung for her like a dirge, a requiem of melancholic love. She could hear it just the way she heard it waft in the pregnant wind outside the temple of the jungle. Jungle cottage goddess in the ethereal jungle trail across the miles and ages of their distance. She listened to it all and wanted to merge with his presence, or the semblance of it in the riverbed, just the way she wanted to merge with his young body in the incredible warmth and smoothness of the stolen kiss long back as a teenager. This story is, it's needless to say, once you are reading it, you are bound to get transported to another place. Then we have a story coming by Mona Lisa Joshi. She is also the director of Chrysanthemum Chronicle, and she is the person who is responsible behind this book, because it was her dream to bring up a dystopian novel, but anyways it came up as a anthology of uncanny short stories. The Last Train to Earth itself, the title itself makes the reader curious that what is this last train and why it is coming to Earth, because the train's on Earth, but any train coming from somewhere to Earth, who was the passenger, and how come it is coming to us? So these different kind of questions come up. But when we read, it's a very sweet tale of a lady in a burqa. It is set up in an army camp, and there we have all, as we read, we feel as though we are in some refugee camp, and the people are asking her to lift her veil. They want to see that if she is the same person the identity card is talking about, or someone else. The identity card says that she's Farida Bano, but she is not ready to reveal her face because she has some trepidations that some things may go wrong. And as we read the story, we get to know that she has actually taken a train to Earth, and the reason she took the train to Earth because of her attachment, because she loved somebody so much. And again, the story again ends with the chill that okay, attachment can also be very scary, and the way it ends gives a lot of lesson. I'll read some lines from her book also, from her story also. It's in the middle of the story. I have picked up some lines. I became flabbergasted and did not know what to answer. If at all I could have been able to see that paper that was the ID proof of Farida Banu, I could have answered which part I was from. Knowing not what to say, I thought of telling them the truth. Here she confesses because she doesn't know exactly that what photo is there in the identity card. Heaven, I'm coming from heaven, I replied in a low tone and a slight shaky voice. What? Come again, did you say heaven or heaven? The two men broke out in laughter. So this story is also beautifully penned by Mona Lisa Joshi, and it is written in the contemporary times. We are transported to the refugee camp, and we can very well figure out a lady in her burqa standing, and people, the army officers, asking her to reveal her identity, and why she is not revealing her identity is for you to find out. Then we have another story, The Exilier and the Nemesis. This is written by Sriparna Sen, and this is also one of a very intelligent story because it is fast-paced story. It is something, when I read, I felt like I was reading Agatha Christie novel. So this is another very beautiful story, and it brings about the love, and there is a suspense in the story. What happens in the end is something which keeps you biting your finger, because this story is something about regarding a psychopath and a murderer. So it's a beautiful way she has brought out the chills and the uncanniness in the anthology. Next we have Alipi Das, The Connoisseur, and this is again a very warm, heartwarming story, I must say, because it is set up in an atmosphere where there is fine dining, and the two ladies are coming together, sitting and eating, talking about all the good things, food and wine, and there is a lot of warmth and love, but there is also something which is scary, which is uncanny, which raises a chill. And once you read it, you will find it out yourself, that what is it. And then next we have Delusion by Muskan Sharma. Muskan Sharma's Delusion is another story which is about disturbed childhood. It's about the pent-up feelings, and towards the end of the story we do feel pity and sympathy for the protagonist, and this writer has very beautifully brought out in a very simple language, and the story flows very smoothly from A to Z, and it has been well penned by Muskan Sharma. We have another story, Love with Fire by Dr. Paromita Mukherjee Ojha. This story is also one of the ones, it is one of those which when I was reading, I felt I was reading a Wilbur Smith novel. It was a version, I felt like I was into a land what Wilbur Smith would write. It was something like that. It is a fast-paced story, and it is almost like a roller coaster ride. In this story there is passion and compassion, and there is a lot of vengeance. Like, you get to know that people are, how they try to cheat and overcome other people's to get famous and all. How do they competition is really tough, and how they come out of it. So I'll just read the beginning of the story. From the fringe cover of Leaves, Samiksha found herself staring at a pair of dark black gold eyes fringed with dark lashes and tanned face. She watched mesmerized as the sweltering heat and chaos of the jungle at the background faded away. She soon refocused when she realized that an austere-faced man of around 30 was staring at her with an exasperation and disdain. "I am Rohan Khanduja," the man announced. He was anything but old, and not at all genial. "Hi Shweta, hi Mona Lisa, Morvi, Preeti. So I am here right now with the story Love with Fire, and for those who have joined now, I will just like to tell them that this is a program by Chrysanthemum Chronicle. It is called The Reading Maze, and it connects the readers and the writers and talks about the books that have been published by Chrysanthemum Chronicles. So talking about Love with Fire by Paromita Mukherjee, it is another very fast-paced story and very well written in the modern scenario. Each page, the feel of this book is so beautiful, that it does not look that it's the first book coming from Chrysanthemum Chronicles. I mean, when I read it and turn the pages, I feel like I'm turning one of the books which has been published by readers like Jeffrey Archer is one of my favorite, and I am getting the same feeling when I was reading this book. The feel of the book was the same. Now we have a very interesting story by Varadha Rajan Ramesh. It is Ratha Kateri, and this story is like a folklore. He has brought a folklore into the anthology, and it is talking about the chivalry of the king in the ancient times. It has a very interesting take, and it begins with a soldier who's feeling very scared. So normally we chant Hanuman Chalisa, but he has mentioned some other Kanda Shakti Kavacham in his story, and the person is chanting that and feeling scared. So the way he has written the Shashti Kavacham makes the reader feel that yes, he's feeling scared, and he's chanting it that way. So it's really amazing the way he has put up this story, and it's a very different story in the anthology because he has taken a completely different take. He has picked out a folklore and built a story around that. So it's also a very nice, uncanny story, and it goes back to the ancient times. When you are reading this, you are transported to the kings, the region of kingdoms of like they are kings and all those things are people of that era. And then we have another story, Being Immortal. This is by Preeti S. Manaktala, and this is again about hallucinations, about some voices that are heard by the protagonist, and she has a very beautiful life, but then how she listens to those voices and slowly she starts thinking them to be real, and she spoils her actual life because of that life, because of those voices. So Preeti has also very beautifully brought down, she has crafted the story very well. The tone of her story is simple, the language is beautiful, narrative, and it's not at all difficult to understand the story, and it flows like it is broken into 3-4 parts, and it flows from one narrative to another very easily. I'll just read a paragraph from her story. The room was a mess. Scattered around were the torn pieces of wallpapers, medicines, pillows, books, all on the floor. He checked on her if she had slept as he picked the broken photo frames and gazed at the smiling faces in them, reminiscing the past. Everything was well till last year. They were happy together, and Samara used to be so healthy and caring. He missed her. Over the years, she had lost weight and started looking pale. So this is how, when the lady was hallucinating, her character changes and she becomes something which she was not. So this is very appalling, and the way it has been set up in the contemporary atmosphere, it feels like you're reading about some neighbor next door. So this is about Preeti's story. In Your Bloody Eye. This is another very interesting take, another interesting story by Rashmi Agarwal. This is one story which takes you, gets in the gizmos and the high-tech things, and how that you will find that the illusion, she has made the illusion also haunted. So the illusion has also become haunted, and this one would never think that the phone, if suppose I'm talking on my phone, then how my phone also starts giving me those creeps and that haunted thing. So she has taken her imagination to another level, and she has very beautifully brought down this story. And it is also marked by it's marked by jealousy and all those things, but she has beautifully brought down a love story which is twined with the virtual world and gadgets, and how the character, there's a cat in this she would see whenever she would wear a goggle, and how that cat haunted her. I'll just read one paragraph. As soon as the virtual spaces flashes in front of her eyes, Akriti looks at Shlok and takes a step back. Her hand moves inside her bag, perhaps searching for tissue to signal him. Shlok notices a fleeting shape on the graphic platform through his device, and it vanishes in few seconds. When it flashes again and disappears, he jerks his head, not able to believe. The translucent silhouette astonished him. My God, it's real Akriti. I saw it. It's appearing and disappearing every few seconds. Yes, and it looks bigger now. So it's like they are wearing a gadget, and how that gadget is taking them to another realm which is kind of haunted, and it's actually affecting them in the present. So she has beautifully imagined this is something very different, like to connect, to make horror out of the gizmos and gadget. It was really very different take. So this was by Rashmi. Then Fly With Me Love by Preeti Warrior. This one story really made me emotional, and I kind of had tears when I read this story, because this story is about an over-pampered daughter and how her parents had brought her up so beautifully, and then when she gets married, she goes and she faces some challenges in life, and the end was really very bad. I mean, it was something which was very reflective, and one had to ponder that if this happens, then the parenting should have been different for the girl. She should have been able to take a stand and things like that. So this really brought tears to my eyes and gave me chills, and it was very touching, Preeti. I must say, you really, you made my hair. It was a hair-raising story, no doubt. Welcome Santosh Bakaya ma'am, and welcome Shalini Sultania, and all those people who have joined again. Shweta Mathur, Jyoti, Gauri, Pooja. Welcome and thank you for joining. So next story which I'll be talking about is A Complot on the Foothill. Complot on the Foothill is written by Mausami Bhattacharjee, and this is again a story which talks about the nitty-gritty of the administration and politics. It's based on social scenarios, and the writer has written it that you can pick out the picturesque valleys, and you can literally visualize the place. It feels like you're standing right in the middle of that place, and it's about an IAS officer who tries to solve a mystery which is shrouded with a lot of secrecy and things like that. So Mausami has done a beautiful job by writing this story. She has really made it so lively that it's almost like watching a movie when I was reading this story. And in fact, many of the stories in this book, they give me a feel as a beautiful, they can make serials or movies out of this, because they are so intriguing and they are so unique in their ways. And then we have the Fulcher House Mystery by Zainab. And this is again a beautiful story about an author who was supposed to be a bestseller author, and he moves into a house which had something spooky about it. And when he finds out that something bad had happened over there, he sets upon a journey to find the mystery behind that. So this story is based on that concept, and how it's about how he writes a book on the house he's staying and how he solves the mystery. So it is like another Sherlock Holmes type of story written by Zainab. And Zainab, you have done a very good job writing the story. And last but not the least, we have Forbidden, which is written by Nandita Dini Chatterjee. She is also the editor of this book, and she has meticulously edited this book. And this story of Nandita De, Forbidden, is talking about molestation of the Adivasi girls when they are passing through a forest area, and a spooky element comes over there. It's a short and sweet story, but the chilling element is prevailing, and at the end there is a suspense which breaks out, and we get to know that why this story is so uncanny. So by and large, I have covered all the stories. Thank you, Santosh Bakaya ma'am. I already spoke about your story. You were not here that time because yours was the first story in the book, and when I started speaking, then you had not joined. But your story is one that brought smiles to my face, and also at the same time, it brought chills with the ending, the kind of ending you have given. So this is it, people. This book is available on Amazon. You can order this book and you can enjoy reading the story. Hi Sarvesh, thank you for joining in, and I'm sure you all will enjoy. And I'm sorry for the delay in coming because I was going live for the first time and I had no idea how to click, and I got a little late, so I'm really sorry about the delay from my side. But I hope you enjoyed, and I justified the tales, because this book is really very beautifully done by the team, and Mona Lisa Joshi and Nandita, they have done a great job making this book. It is error free, and the way the book has come up, being the first book from Chrysanthemum Chronicles, the first book from the publishing house, it does not feel like that it's the first book. It feels like there have been many books before. The cover has been made very beautifully. It gives the cover itself gives talks about what the book is, the face. One would get a pal looking at it. But then this is the tale about uncanny tales, and the cover reveals it very well. And overall, the book is a beautiful collection of short stories, and one would really enjoy. Those who enjoy reading thrillers and horror stories, they must go for this book. There are no hyperboles in this book. All the writers have meticulously and very diligently taken effort. In a very subtle manner, they have brought out the horror elements. So you will not find much hyperbole and exaggerated words regarding the thriller and horror stories. And beautifully, they will manage to raise your hair, and you will find yourself chewing your nails, and you will enjoy reading this book. Thank you everyone for joining, and I will sign off now. It was great to see you all. Thank you for coming. Thank you so much.